How Introversion Held Ben Back. This is a life-changing story.
Ben sat at the back of the class, pretending to be deeply focused on his notebook, though his mind was elsewhere. The teacher's voice faded into the background as he stole a glance at Sophia, the girl who had unknowingly become the center of his inner battle. He had rehearsed a conversation with her 100 times in his head, but the moment she turned in his direction, his heart pounded like a drum. He heard the positive voice in his head say, "Ben, just say something. Anything. A simple, 'Hi' is enough. You're overthinking this." Ben tightened his grip on his pen and shook his head. Ben said, "No. What if she finds me awkward? What if I say something stupid?" The positive voice encourages him. "And what if you don't? What if she actually likes talking to you?" Ben, doubtful. "No chance. She's way out of my league. Besides, I don't even know how to start a conversation. You know I am an introvert. You don't need a perfect script. Just be yourself," positive voice said firmly. He clenched his jaw. The thought of approaching her made his stomach twist. He imagined fumbling over his words, her confused star, the awkward silence that would follow. Ben thought to himself, "No, it's better to avoid embarrassment. I'll just stay quiet, like always." The classroom bell rang, shaking him out of his thoughts. As Sophia walked past, she smiled at him, a casual, friendly smile. For a split second, a spark of courage ignited in him. Positive voice, happy and excited. "Now, Ben, just say hi back." His lips parted, but the words didn't come. The moment passed, and she was gone. He let out a quiet sig. Ben said, "Say?" I froze. "This is why I should never try." Positive voice rebuked him. "No, Ben. You froze because you never tried." But Ben had already convinced him avoiding was safer than trying. Things continued like this until one day, Ben decided he would give it a try. The school compound buzzed with the excitement of closing time. Groups of students chatted, locked, and made plans. Ben, however, stood alone, gripping the straps of his backpack, his heartbeat drowning out the noise. Sophia stood a few feet away, talking to a friend. Today was different. Today, Ben was going to speak to her. Positive voice urges. "This is it, Ben. Just go. Just say, 'Hi, Sophia. How was your day?' It's that simple." Ben wiped his sweaty palms on his trousers. One step. Just one step. He took a step forward, then another. But before he could reach her, someone else did. Daniel, the most confident and charming boy in their class. Ben froze, watching as Daniel spoke with ease, his words making Sophia laugh within seconds. A voice echoed in his mind, urging him forward. "Just say hi. Just walk up and say something, anything." Ben thought, "I can't compete with that. I'll just embarrass myself." Positive voice answered him back. "Stop it, Ben. Just because he spoke to her first doesn't mean you don't have a chance." But the fear gripped him tighter. What if he stuttered? What if she looked at him with confusion? What if he became the laughingstock of the entire class? So he stood still and watched. Minutes passed. Then finally Ben gathered every ounce of courage he had left and approached. Ben hesitated. Then, against every instinct, he stepped forward. "Hey, Sophia. Can I talk to you?" Ben summoned courage to say. She turned, surprised. "Oh, hey, Ben." His throat felt dry. He wanted to say something smooth, something charming. His mind raced, searching for the right words. But all that came out was, I was wondering if we could, hang out sometime." For a moment, she said nothing. Then, a sad smile crossed her face. "Ben," she said, "I waited, you know." His stomach dropped. She looked at him for a long moment. as if measuring her words. For you. I waited for you to talk to me, to show me you were interested. Ben felt his pulse quicken. I didn't know. Sophia gave a small shake of her head. But you did, Ben. You saw me, just like I saw you. But you never made a move. His chest tightened. She had noticed him. She had waited. Her words hit harder than he expected. She exhaled. Daniel asked me out last week, and I said yes. The ground beneath Ben felt unsteady. He swallowed hard, forcing a small nod. I just wanted you to know, she added softly. Sometimes waiting too long is the same as doing nothing at all. Sophia gave him an apologetic smile. You're a great guy, Ben. But sometimes, being too late is the same as not trying at all. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Ben standing there, drowning in the weight of his silence. Ben stood there with the painful realization that he had lost without ever even trying. Positive voice said softly, This is what fear does to you, Ben. It robs you while you stand still. One could have thought that this incident would teach Ben a lesson as a teenager. His young adulthood was no different. Ben stared at the email, his heart pounding. It was a speaking invitation from an entrepreneurship forum. The body of the message reads, We would love to have you share your insights at our upcoming event. Many investors will be present, and this is a great opportunity to showcase your ideas. Ben's stomach churned. Positive voice, excited, urgent. Ben, this is huge. If you do this, you could get investors, new clients. This could change everything. Ben doubted. Or I could freeze on stage and embarrass myself in front of everyone. Positive voice allays his fear, saying, Or you could deliver a great speech and open doors you never imagined. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. This was it. This was what he had always wanted, an opportunity to put his business ideas in front of the right people. But then the doubts crept in. What if he stumbled over his words? What if they asked questions he couldn't answer? What if he made a fool of himself? Fear tightened its grip. Ben clicked, Decline. A week later, scrolling through his social media feed, he saw the event highlights. There, on the stage, was Kelvin, a fellow entrepreneur. The same Kelvin who had once asked Ben for advice. Now, he was presenting those same ideas, Ben's ideas, to a room full of investors. Ben watched as the crowd applauded. At the bottom of the post was an update. Kelvin secures major investment deal after impressive pitch at the forum. Positive voice whimpered. That should have been you, Ben. That should have been him. He slumped into his chair, feeling sick. The company he dreamed of launching remained just that, a dream, while Kelvin now had the funding to turn his into reality. 2 months later, his finances started to dry up. He struggled to keep his small business afloat. The opportunity he feared had been the breakthrough he needed. I should have taken that stage, Ben said, frowning. Positive voice said, Yes, but you let fear silence you. And now, it's costing you. At middle age, Ben sat alone in his office, the room smaller than it once felt. His desk, once filled with ambitious plans, was now cluttered with unpaid bills. His once promising startup had barely survived the years. The competition had grown, and he had remained small, too afraid to take risks. The door opened. It was an old classmate, Kelvin, now a successful CEO, married with kids. Ben! Kelvin's voice was warm, but there was something else there, Tupity. Man, it's been years. How's the business? Ben forced a smile. Still going. Kelvin chuckled. That's great. I always knew you had great ideas. I wish you had taken that speaking gig back then. Things really took off for me after that. Ben nodded stiffly, the weight of those words pressing down on him. He remembered. Kelvin sighed. Anyway, listen, I'm hosting a business summit next month. A lot of investors will be there. You should come and network. Ben stared at the paper. Another opportunity. Positive voice said, Ben, this is your chance. You're older, wiser. Say yes this time. A small flicker of hope sparked inside him. Maybe this time. But before he could speak, Kelvin gave him a knowing look. But knowing you'll probably say no, right? Ben's mouth went dry. You always had potential, Kelvin added, but you never stepped up. The words cut deep. Kelvin patted his shoulder. Think about it. And then he was gone. The silence in the room was deafening. Ben sat there, staring at the invitation. His hands trembled as he ran his fingers over the paper. So many years. So many lost chances. But was it too late? And suddenly, the silence in the room felt unbearable. Ben slumped in his chair. His hands covered his face as reality settled in. This was his life now. Small, safe, stagnant. Ben said regrettably, I wasted so many chances. Positive voice, soft, reassuring, said, Yes, but it's not too late. You can still change. His phone buzzed. A message from an old friend, inviting him to a networking event, the kind he always declined. For the first time in years, he hesitated. He cheered up. Maybe I can still change. Positive voice agreed. Yes, Ben, you still can. Slowly, Ben reached for his coat. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't finished yet. Ben stepped into the business summit with hesitation, but something felt different this time. He wasn't just there to observe, he was there to act. Instead of standing in a corner, he pushed himself to introduce himself to at least 3 people. Each conversation was awkward at first, but he pushed through. That night, he sat in his room, staring at his reflection. I can't live like this anymore, he whispered. For the first time, he wasn't just regretting, he was ready to change. His reinvention begins. Ben took deliberate steps to reshape his confidence. He enrolled in a public speaking class, forcing himself to speak, even when his hands shook. He started journaling his thoughts and goals, tracking his progress. He built relationships intentionally, messaging old classmates, reconnecting with lost friends, and reaching out to new people. He accepted his first speaking gig, a small one, but he didn't decline. Every night, he stood in front of his mirror, practicing his speeches. At first, his voice wavered, but soon, he became one with his words. His breakthrough moment? Delivering a speech confidently without a shaky voice, without fear holding him back. He looked out at the audience and realized he was no longer the Ben who let fear control his life. Ben didn't become an extrovert overnight, but he didn't need to. He learned to balance his introversion with confidence, connection, and courage. Because being an introvert wasn't the problem, fear was. Fear is a thief. It steals love, opportunity, and success. It convinces you that staying in the shadows is safe, but safety often comes at the cost of everything you truly want. How many more chances will you let slip away? How many more times will you let fear win? If you're waiting for the perfect moment, stop. The perfect moment is when you decide to take action. And the best time to start is now.
If you did enjoy this video, hit the like button and share. And do subscribe to this channel for more interesting video on inner dialogue.